Alright. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Razor from RazorTube coming at you with some DayZ 1.08 best base locations today. What we're going to be going over is one of the best base locations on the map of Chernarus and why it's important to you as a DayZ player. Now, welcome to all my Game Pass people that have just joined DayZ, and this location will be helping you guys out, especially when you're going to look to build a base inside of DayZ 1.8. The reason why it's so important is because in 1.08 we got the update for the building structures, which significantly boosts the HP for each structure. It's a lot harder to raid in DayZ, and if you're new to the game, before it used to be easy. You'd build a base, somebody could rip it down in like 5 minutes, and all your loot's gone. You couldn't store anything in it. So you just kind of use it as like a barrier between you and the other players in DayZ, but that is no more. With the new structure update, we can definitely build bases, and base building is now more relevant than ever in DayZ 1.08. Alright, so we're located here in Cherno Industrial, and we're located by the conveyor belt building, and it's attached to 2 silo buildings on each side of it. The reason why this is a best base location is because there are so many choke points to this base, you won't be able to get up unless you have a lot of ammo or grenades to blow up walls. Now, here at the bottom we built our own little car pen, and this is kind of like the yard, that's what we call it. And this is where you would enter to get to the ladder that goes up to the top of where the base is. Now, I do have to disclose that the only con to this base is that you have to ascend a ladder to each floor of your base as you go through. So it'd be kind of who of you to actually store an alt on each floor. That way, if somebody's sniping you guys and they're kind of converging onto your base, you can kind of have a character on each floor to get down to the bottom, if you can at all. But anyways, what I would do is just build this at the bottom. It kind of guards you from anybody sneaking up on you, and then lock off the bottom with a gate, and you should be good to go to start to ascend the ladder. Now the good thing is if you get sniped off the ladder, your body does fall down at the bottom and you can get your loot. That's why we built it kind of big now. The only other con is that people now can go on this little yellow tube here and try to jump down into your base. But anyways, now that we've got the buff for the building structures and back to the location, right? You can now add combination locks to gates. Why is that important? Because combo locks cannot be hacksawed off now, at all. They count as part of the part of the wall. So when people raid you, they have to blow up the entire wall, and they literally will be spending a lot of money to get to it. Now, this base location does have 3 floors. I'm on the first floor now. This room here is kind of like an industrial room. What we do here is it offers a lot of storage. You can put 2 medium tents in here with a gate, and you essentially have 300 slots of storage. Unless you get barrels, then you have more. It offers cover from the environments and from other players trying to get you. Now, the thing is this room cannot fit canopy tents, so that's kind of the downfall when it comes to this room here. But hey, we can't win them all. But it acts like a room for like dropping off loot. You can move in and out of the base quickly from spawning into this part, so you can go down to the bottom, and it's pretty good for cover when you're trying to run and people are trying to snipe you off the ladder. Alright, so that's room number 1. Great storage. You can fit medium tents in there. Remember always to lock off the rooms, and you can use a lockpick to lock the single door in there as well, so you can have double coverage on that door. Now here we're going to be ascending to the 2nd floor, and I'll show you why this floor is really important and what you could do with it. Alright, man, this is sketchy. I am on a DayZ 1.08 official server right now, so if I get sniped during the video, yeah, it's not good. So we gotta be careful. Alright, so other things as a DayZ player, what you want to look for in a base location is coverage and materials, how close you are to materials. Now the reason why this is one of the best base locations in the game is because it does have a military location close to it, which is right over here next to Cherno Industrial. Really good for military loot, bullets, grenades, smoke grenades, military clothing and whatnot. So this base location is super close to a military location for you guys to go loot and bring back, so you can have guns and ammo to cover yourselves while you build the base. Other reasons why this base location is very, very important is because all the industrial sheds around it. Sheds such as like that, and such as these little sheds in general, have building material in them. They'll have nails, pliers, hacksaws, saws, wiring. Other spawns come around here. Underneath that overhang down there, you do have a plank spawn that happens right against the wall there. And the good thing about that is it makes base building quick in this area. So you do have military loot close to you. You do have building material close to you. So it's a #1 spot to build a base. Now, let's get back to the base location itself now. The second floor here has 2 silo buildings connected to the main conveyor belt building inside of Cherno Industrial, okay? These platforms act like little sniper perches or storage areas. What you can do for each bridge that goes across, you can lock them off with gates and end up building like a little tent town on top of the platforms. The thing about that is in my own experience, when you build on this platform, if you have a canopy tent and you put up a wall, right, a little square wooden walls around it, they can be sniped over a 1-high wall. So you have to be careful. Typically in this type of area, I would think about, using medium tents because they're low to the ground. They're lower than a one wooden wall or metal wall, depending on what you want to use. And they have 150 slots for storage, and that's well enough for at least 5 or 6 guns or a ton of ammo, depending on how much you got. Alright, so those platforms, you could use them for sniper perches or storage or even building a main base, but I would put your main base at the top. Before we get to that, we want to pay attention to the middle of this conveyor belt building on the second floor. It comes with a locker room, and the locker room here, what you can utilize this for is put a gate up or lock the door with a lockpick and use it for your alts to spawn in on. Typically people don't come in here. In the hallway, what we like to do and what I notice is we put 2 canopy tents. We put one here, it fit nice and snug, and then we put one here, it fit nice and snug. So you could use it as storage as well, and you could put gates right on the outside and lock it off from people getting into the canopy tents. Now the good thing about the canopy tents being in here, you can close this door, and if you line up the first canopy tent on the left, you can actually lower the opening to the canopy tent. It covers the door, so nobody really knows that there's a locker room here, so you can kind of disguise it with the canopy tent. Now on the other side, it's essentially just a duplicate platform, just like the other one over there. So okay, yeah, you have 2 platforms for storage. Use them and configure your base the way you want. Just in my experience, I know that we just use them for sniper perches, and it's more high ground above players at the bottom. Alright, so this is the second floor, and we're gonna go to the third floor, and then we'll see what's going on with the rest of this base location. Now, there is one more con to this base. The only con about it is typically DayZ players first starting off like to bury loot in marlin bags or crates and whatnot. And you can check out the crate video if you don't know how to build one of those and see what it costs in the upper right hand corner. But they want to bury loot inside their base. Typically when you build a base on the ground, you can do that when it's on like soil or dirt, right? You can have like little loot stashes everywhere inside of your little structure and then log off and be okay, right? For this base location, the only point you can do that is down in the yard, which is located down the ladder, obviously. And to descend a ladder to get to it is very, very risky, right? You just want to go down the ladder as quick as possible, not think about any loot at the bottom. You don't want to worry about loot in the yard, because if you store a character up here and you got to descend the ladder, it's going to be a little rough if people are digging up your loot, okay? But for this base location, you're going to be like, okay, what do? You want to build your storage or gather it, meaning getting canopy tents or medium tents, okay, and building crates. The reason why is because you can come up to the top, you can take your loot, and I got a crate just to demonstrate this right now. You can take your crates, and now you can store them down in this well. What I like to call this room is HQ, because you can put a ton of crates down here. And now that we have the ability to line them up, it's great, right? So you can line up your crates through here, and then it's kind of like a little loot vault. And it's great. It's great for storage. It's great for locking it away and keeping other players from it. Now, we do have a canopy tent, and I'll show you exactly what we can do with it in this best base location for PlayStation 4 and Xbox, because let me tell you, it's good stuff. You get in this location, we literally got raided 6 times in a day, and we stopped every single one coming up here. The only reason people got up here is because of a significant glitch that happened, but we countered it. Anyways, so here at the top of the Cherno Industrial Conveyor Belt building, here's the deal. If you're going to build at the top, you want to lock it off. Now, one gate's cute in the front of the ladder, right? If you just have the gate and the lock, and it's all walled off here, that's good. Okay, that's real good. But the problem is if you don't have barbed wire, people can climb up, and when they finish the animation from climbing up, guess what? They glitch through the wall. Now, we found out something to do that, counter that, and that was layering our gates. Now, when a said player climbs up, they can't now because there's barbed wire, but if you didn't have barbed wire, they'd climb up, they'd glitch through there, they'd fall into the other barbed wire, get trapped between 2 gates, and they would perish. Now, the thing is, this base is very, very, very good for bunkering down in and having the high ground over other players. The problem is there is multiple high points around this top. Now, you do have the apartments over here and the military spot where people could still see you on top of this base, but needless to say, you can build watchtowers around here and have a lot of peak points, or create a lot of angles onto these players to get them out of there and to get them away from your base as such. Now, we talked about the materials, we talked about the base location itself, we talked about what it needs for a DayZ player to start in the beginning, and for endgame. Remember, this counts for endgame as well. Another location that's close to you that you want to utilize is the Cherno City, right? Cherno City is located just to the right over here, and what you could do in there is go loot, and that's typically where you find canopy tents and medium tents now. So you can go loot the city with your friends, you can come back to the base, you can store all the loot at the top, and then once you have enough loot at the top, you can spread out the loot between all 3 floors, okay? So just remember that you have a lot of locations and you have a lot of different types of loot in the area. You typically in Cherno City, you get like tier 1 loot and whatnot, and then in the industrial you get the building materials you need, and then you go over next to industrial, and like Cherno City, you have Cherno Shipping Crate Yard, right? This is where you're going to get, and it's right above my head, and I'll show you, I'll point at it for you. The Shipping Crate Yard offers a lot of things. So marlin bags, storage, dry bags, and whatnot. So make sure when you're coming up here, you want to grab some backpacks to store like planks in to carry them around, nails, other building materials. That way you have a backpack and you're not carrying things with your hands. Now, like we said before, you do have the military section, which is great for tier 3 loot, such as guns, grenades, and whatnot. And this is what makes this base location one of the best base locations in DayZ Cherno, or even in the game, depending on how you lock it up. and fortify it. We've only implemented some changes to this to make it, I wouldn't say unraidable, but really hard to raid, because once you start locking off the ladders on each floor by hanging some barbed wire over it and having a gate access to it, it makes it really hard, because on a ladder, people can't throw grenades or, you know, shoot your wall. They have to climb all the way up and be on flat ground to do that. So that's why it makes this base location very useful for any DayZ player, whether you be a beginner or a veteran in DayZ. Alright guys, so that is the best base location for DayZ 1.08 for PlayStation 4 and Xbox, and let me know in the comments below exactly what you think about it, because this is one heck of a spot, and I would love to see more people build here, because hey, you know, it's gonna really make PvP a lot more fun since we got this building update for 108 recently. Alright, so I'm RazorTube. If you guys are new to the channel, drop those subs and likes, and I will see you soon with another best base locations video.